Hello, I'm Lisa Burkhart Worley. You're watching Pop Talk, the show where you never know what topics might pop up. And we're sponsored by Prestige Development Properties. We hear a lot of bad about the world these days, but there's still a lot of good going on. And today we're going to speak to a woman who is making a difference with victimized women around the world by ministering to them and helping them make a living. We're going to introduce her in just a minute, but first say hello to our Pop Talk co-host, Michelle Burton.
Hello.
And Renee Rollins, looking
Howdy,
beautiful
y'all.
as usual. Well, our guest today is Lynde Griggs. Lynde co-founded an outreach called Belle and Sparrows. Belle and Sparrows is a by women, for women nonprofit that reaches women both locally and globally. They teach women skills for economic stability. They provide encouragement as some women brave the struggles of addiction and or incarceration. They also help women overcome the trauma of being sex trafficked or as the result of their escape from the sex trade industry. In addition, they assist women in finding their self-worth after exiting an abusive relationship. They share Bible study, they share times of prayer and testimonies. It sounds like a great ministry, doesn't it? Lynde has traveled to 8 countries and scores of different trips that she's taken, all with the purpose of improving women's lives. Well, Lynde, it is so good to have you on Pop Talk. We met in kind of a divine appointment way, as I remember.
Yes.
And I heard your story at lunch and what you're doing, and I was just so fascinated with you and what your ministry is all about. And I wanted to have you on Pop Talk so other people would learn about you. So this is a great ministry, but it wasn't what you've always done. You were actually on a church staff before this in both women's and youth ministries. What happened to lead you into missionary work?
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here. I was on staff. I started in student ministries, and I had daughters who were in middle school and high school at the time, and they always needed a woman to go on mission trips, and I gladly went to see the Lord working in the lives of my daughters, and the Lord always gave me ministry within those trips, whether it was to share the gospel or encourage or be a spiritual mother to some of the women that or young girls that were on the trip. And then I moved into women's ministry, and I knew that the Lord had put missions in my heart, and I proposed a women's trip for the women of our congregation, and it had never been done before. And the partnering ministry in Guatemala that our church partners with had never received an all-women's team, and so we went and ministered to some of the poorest of the poor in the Guatemala city dump. And we took 24 women from 7 different churches and women from gated communities, all the way down to a woman who was in our Spanish ministry whose own mother sold her into prostitution.
Wow.
And for her to experience new life on this trip was the most remarkable thing to witness. Just to have a front row seat to seeing her life change before our eyes. So there's something that happens when you go on mission. You bond as women because you're sharing the same experience. Yes. When I returned home, I just felt a nudge from the Lord. Do this outside the church. Start something outside the church. Okay. And I have come back from trip after trip after trip with some kind of ideation that we're supposed to adopt from this country, or we need to move to this country. And my husband plays along for a little while, but it usually fades. It usually fades after, the mission trip high, so to speak, fades away. And so it didn't fade. So my husband is on staff at the same church. I just picked up the phone. I called him. I said, I think I'm supposed to start something outside the church for women to serve other women. And he said, well, if this is what the Lord's calling you to, then I'm not going to stand in your way. So
we need husbands like that who say, "Go forward." You know, they see the calling as well.
Yeah.
Amen. So I was thinking about the name of your ministry, Belle and Sparrows. Tell me where that name come from, and then how it all got organized when you started the outreach.
Belle, B-E-L-L-E, in French means beautiful. And sparrows are referenced in the Gospels, that God doesn't even forget the sparrow. And so our tagline is beautiful, not forgotten. And we knew we wanted to minister to women who might feel forgotten or might feel unworthy or unseen or unloved. So that's how we got our name. It was a long process. You think of a name and then you Google it, it's already taken, and then go back to the drawing board and back to the drawing board. And so Belle and Sparrows is where we landed. And it really come beautiful, not forgotten. It's just...
It is beautiful.
I love that.
That
Yes.
name is anointed.
So we, the other co-founder and I, really started looking, are there women serving women ministries outside of churches? Now, there are some specific churches that maybe have a women's trip go and serve in another country, but they're kind of under the church umbrella, and there really wasn't anything in the year and a half that we researched of women serving women like we wanted to, both locally and globally. Not every woman is equipped to leave the country if she has children or a job or, just financially, but she can give up a couple hours on a Saturday morning or a couple hours on a Friday night and go serve locally, start there. And we found that it's often an on-ramp for the next, what can I do next? And so that's really how we got started. There's an nonprofit, the Women's Nonprofit Alliance, that helped us, and they hold the 501c3, and you receive their accounting and their legal and all of that. So it was marvelous for us to be under their umbrella until we could launch out on our own.
That is great information.
Yeah.
Women's Nonprofit Alliance. They're fabulous.
Yes.
I love that. Now, I know you've been to a lot of countries we talked about earlier, but your focus seems to be on Guatemala, and in particular, the Navajo women. So why did you choose those groups? And tell us a little bit about what you're doing there.
Yes. We wanted to make an investment into the women and not have it be a travel club, so to speak. I had 10 years in ministry. Tiffany, the other co-founder, had 17 years. So we had a lot of contacts and a lot of people saying, "Oh, go here, we know this, there's a ministry here." All good, all great ministries. But we wanted to invest in the women long term and to see actual life change. So we started in Guatemala, and that really is where a huge part of my heart is, seeing the women and how their lives are evolving and changing and all of that. Navajo, we had a contact with Christ for All Nations in northern New Mexico. And so those two are easy to get to. They're direct flights. You don't need shots. Kind of easy to get to. A couple hours to get to New Mexico, 3-hour direct flight to get to Guatemala. We knew that an obstacle for living in poverty is earning income and not having opportunity for women to be able to either contribute to the family income or to make ends meet on their own. In Guatemala, we started a greeting card line. The women in Guatemala make beautiful tapestries, and they have really, their textiles are just some of my favorites. But a tapestry that they make could take upwards of 3 weeks to a month to complete, and all of the yarn and thread, she really only makes a couple of dollars for this beautiful piece of work that in Dallas would sell for hundreds, exactly.
Yes.
So we started a greeting card line with a basic template. We're up in a village in in a remote area in Guatemala, and the first generation in this village are Mayan, and the women don't read or write. Mayan is their first language. So kind of explaining, we're going to embroider on a card and just talk about, people have sent us to you to encourage you. We want to say thank you. How better to say thank you than something that you've actually made? So we started with a basic template, these greeting cards, and in just a few months, they were edge-to-edge, floral, beautiful cards.
Wow.
And so they have been working on the cards now for 6 years. Each year we go, we try to bring a different item for them to add to what they're already selling. So last year, for instance, we brought linen beverage napkins. I was on a vacation and saw some, and I thought, well, the ladies in Guatemala can make those. And a year later, when we were there last month, I was blown away.
Wow.
So do you sell these things in Guatemala only now, or do you bring some of them back to the United States?
Yes.
Okay.
We bring them back. Yes. We do bring them back. We bring back the cards. We bring back, and we'll do pop-ups. I was fortunate enough to be at a pop-up, Lisa, at the Level Up conference where we sold some goods. And so our website is a little bit under construction for that piece of it, but we do have those beautiful things. Wow. And the same in New Mexico. We wanted to see those ladies who had little opportunity have some opportunity for earning income.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Now, as we said in the beginning, a lot of the women that you reach out might have been sex trafficked or they might have been abused. So how do you find these ladies? Do they all congregate together, or do people tell you about them? How does this work?
We partner with existing organizations, and so we try to organize teams of women to go serve with the other organizations. We work with an organization in Dallas that is formerly incarcerated moms, and so we get to go. Their schedules are highly scheduled. But we get to go in once a month and just bring love and encouragement. We may bring a guest speaker. We may bring a worship leader. We may bring in a dance instructor. Just some fun for the ladies. The organizations we partner with are women who are usually in a residential program. So they're there for a year to 2 years. So we get to, like I mentioned before, we get to know them and invest in them.
That's awesome.
So good, yes.
And you were talking about, you were at the Level Up conference. That beautiful candle, I have that beautiful candle, and I love. I'm a little bit of a candle head, okay? I'm just going to admit it, but
It's a good obsession.
Yes.
yeah, they smell great. Tell us about the program, how that got started. I know that this is another ministry where you're helping women to really, with income and self-worth, I'm sure, too, is a big part of that.
Yeah. We started the social enterprise, so to speak, in Guatemala and in New Mexico. And we knew we wanted women here to have the opportunity to earn extra income. It was kind of on the back burner, and then COVID closed the world. Okay. And so we had a God-given open window to say, what can we do with the women who are currently not making ends meet, right? So we reached out to one of our partners, and Maria was our first candle maker, and she is still on staff with us. She graduated from the program as an incarcerated mom.
Wow.
And
that's cool.
She was a 6-time incarcerated woman, and on this side of her journey, she's working a full-time job, making $11 an hour, and that does not mean that she can make ends meet. So really getting to make that phone call to her and see if she wanted to come. The candles, I'll just do a little plug. The candles are 12-ounce soy wax.
cool.
They're beautiful. They burn for about 70 hours. And we've been able to provide Maria and a couple other ladies with part-time income. And the candles are sold on our website. We bring those to pop-up shops. But it was a way for us to help locally women who
Yes.
are doing the hard work. They're doing the hard work. We just get to come in and just say, what can we do to help you? This last summer, we started job skills training for those ladies too. So we had a couple companies donate computers to us.
Wow.
And so we have women from the community who are giving their time, bankers and mortgage brokers and hospital VPs that are coming in to say, I want to teach, and so they're teaching skills like basics in computer and finance and interviewing and resume writing.
So this has really grown beyond these kinds of things where
Yeah.
you're doing crafts and things. It's really a bigger, much broader ministry than when it started, yeah.
It is.
And just to see the impact that's happening and developing as you walk through the stages of life with them, not just leaving them, just with a one-time ministry, but being able to really walk through life with them and doing life and ministry with them together is absolutely incredible.
It really is.
I love that you have these gatherings of women in the homes and making candles. And I know that you touched on this a little bit with Belle and Sparrows, but how successful have those events been? I know with the candle making and with all of these other partners coming in, how has that created or expanded this ministry in helping these women?
I will go wherever to share about Belle and Sparrows. And I think we're kind of this little entity that has ripple effects to the women that we are serving. And I think women innately want to get involved and they want to serve. So if we can do that through a candle making class and share more about the women that they're helping, or if we can just come to your place of business or come to your home or a restaurant and share, it usually ends up that some of the women that are there want to partner with us for maybe a season or for longer. We've had some great success with women coming and saying, I want to get involved, I want to serve, and then it just word of mouth, and
Praise God.
Yeah, I
love
kind of
that.
take candles for granted. I'm not even sure how you'd go about making it, but I know you guys teach. You teach the women that
Need
are
to get a
coming in
class.
and to hear about the program and that kind of thing. So I know because of the great work that you guys are doing at Belle and Sparrows, that you've got some success stories. We've got a little bit of time, so if you want to share 2 or 3,
Sure.
that would be fine, just of women that you've helped and put so that they could be on their feet again. Can you talk about that?
one from Guatemala. There is in this village a midwife named Sabina, and she's, I think, a 3rd generation midwife. So her mom was a midwife and her grandmother was a midwife. And she, with the card making, was able to buy clean, sanitary, sterile items that she needs to deliver babies, right? And she otherwise would not have access to that. And getting to see her this last month, she's very entrepreneurial. So you walk by her house and she pulls you and says, you know, here are the cards that I'm working on. Here are the little beverage napkins I'm working on. She's delightful. We've been able to bring medical teams up there. So she's been trained in new techniques in midwifery. It sounds like a strange word, but we were able to bring a doctorate student last year, and so we brought women from four different villages in for her training. Another woman comes to mind, Jeanette. We did go to Haiti. Haiti has kind of gotten a little unstable, so it's not safe for us to go back yet. But we brought wire and beads and taught the women how to make beaded crosses in Haiti. And Jeanette was a mom of a toddler and an infant. And she took it upon herself to reach out to one of the stores that's on the main traffic road where a lot of missionaries stop for souvenirs and things. And she was able to sell these crosses to this little tourist shop for $10 a piece.
Wow.
The daily wage in Haiti is $5 a day.
Jeez.
And
So she's rich.
Huge.
Yeah.
She messaged me on Facebook Messenger and said, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no food, I had no formula, and I sold these crosses, and I was able to purchase food for my family, purchase formula for my baby, and diapers for the very first time.
Well, you mentioned self-worth, and that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that the fact that they feel proud about what they're doing, and they can make a living, and they can get the things that they need. Is that what you see? You see this increase in their self-worth and confidence. Their confidence level improves. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, I think being able to earn income and be productive. We cast a vision, and then what they do with it, I mean, God gives us all gifts and talents, and what they do with it beyond the vision that we say is so beautiful to see. And then the pride that they take, the worth. I mean, we're restoring dignity to people that it was either stripped from or never nurtured, or we work with a lot of women who've had a past, and so for us to come alongside without judgment and without an agenda, just to come in love and say, hey, I see you, and you're doing really great work, and we want to be your cheerleaders. And
you have accomplished so much.
Goodness.
Really. I mean, it blesses me to hear somebody that the Lord is using and putting the rubber to the road in ministry. So I bless you. Bless you with that. And so what are your goals coming up for Belle and Sparrows? What areas are you focusing on in the future?
In the last year, I think it was just a little over a year, Tiffany, my co-founder, remarried and moved to Kansas City. And so we're expanding. God's opening doors for us in Kansas City. So we're trying to replicate what's going on here in Kansas City, and we're already serving in a couple locations with women coming out of addiction and women coming out of, I believe, homelessness.
Okay.
We have a 4-day trip coming up to go serve in Kansas City. I think where we can invest long term is where we'll go. And should the Lord open the door for us to go back to Haiti, we would love to go back to Haiti. But there's no shortage of women in need.
Yeah, you have to listen to the voice of the Lord, don't you? If you're wanting direction and you want to know what you're supposed to do, it sounds like He opened a door for you in the middle of the country, Kansas City, and He's expanding. His ways aren't our ways, so He's expanded your outreach to another part of the globe in a way. Yeah. And so I think that's very exciting how He works, and how He's working on your behalf.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I love that. I love how He is just bringing you by you listening, being obedient, and just really just giving these women, I mean, it's so vital. It's such a key to be able to provide. It's one thing to just give somebody something, but it's another to provide a livelihood for them that they can continue to have long term. And just see how that fruit is growing, and the Lord is blessing you and your ministry in many ways. And so I know that this ministry is gratifying to you personally. Can you talk to us about how this is actually gratifying for you from a personal level?
Well, I am one decision away from many of the women that we serve. Things could have gone a lot different for me than they did. I, before the Lord, was kind of on a path of destruction. And so being able to I get to do this, is certainly a big blessing. Who am I? I'm just this little girl. Tiffany's just this little girl, these little women, and we're just like okay, God, what do you want us to do and where do you want us to go? And just really just to kind of take those steps.
And so I know you probably receive a lot of words of gratitude from the ladies as well. I mean, do you feel like they come up to you and say thank you for providing this new way of life for them?
Well, I mean, just far and close. I know that when we partner with some of the organizations, they say, you're our favorite. We just, we love you guys. And then being able to provide an income for some women has really, thank you. They, last year there was a woman that got up and spoke in Mayan. And then it was translated to her pastor in Spanish, and then from Spanish to English with the missionary that is our host missionary. And we love when you come. We love when you're here with us. And just even with Maria, our candle maker locally, she is so grateful for the opportunity. She's been able to save and purchase a car. Wow. And she was taking the bus and then the DART, and then we'd pick her up at the DART and bring her up to McKinney. And for all that to have changed in just 2 short years is just amazing.
That is amazing. How is the Lord your CEO? I mean, we all are called to ministry, but how important is it to stay connected to Him?
Oh, that's a great question, Lisa. And I found the Lord when I was a teenager in Young Life. I didn't follow the Lord until I was in my 40s. And I feel like there's just so much time to make up for. And if He can still use me, why wouldn't I just say yes? I mean, I've been all over the world. Who gets to go all over the world and speak the name of Jesus to people? It's the biggest gift.
He's the best boss.
Yes,
He is.
Well, thank you, Lynde, for joining us on Pop Talk. You can find out more about this great work that Lynde is doing at her website, bellandsparrows.org.
And we hope you'll connect with us here at Pearls of Promise Ministries. You can email us at info@pearlsofpromiseministries.com. We're also on Facebook. You can like us there. We'd love for you to like us there. And you can follow us on Twitter at Pop Talk Media, as well as on Instagram at Pop_Ministries. And check out our YouTube page. You can see all of our past Pop Talk television shows.
And we want to thank all of our Pop Talk television platforms, the latest network, Taken TV. You can find them at takennetwork.tv. We're on 13 television platforms and stations, and many more podcasting platforms and stations as well.
And thanks to the sponsor of today's program, Prestige Development Properties, LLC. If you have a project that needs a commercial developer, Prestige Development Properties is the one that you need to call. You can email Prestige at Kerry, Kerry, at prestigedev.net.
And we are grateful for our production team today, Grace Point Media. For all of your media needs, go to gracepoint.media. That is Pop Talk for today. We're just ordinary girls
Who God turned into pearls.
We hope you have a beautiful week.